Good evening, everyone. Peace and blessings to the family. It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions and Box community. Shout out to the Louisiana All American Sports Network. And shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. In this live stream, we're going to talk about a few different topics. First, we're going to talk about Treylan James uh, transferring to transferring to Jackson State. Treylan James transferred to Jackson State, and the hypocrisy of the Jackson State fans. We're going to talk about former Howard University quarterback Ted Sweetflight White potentially being the head coach at his alma mater. We also going to talk about what type of transfer portal strategy Marshall Faulk and Southern University should implement. And lastly, we're going to talk about why it's imperative for the Blueblood football teams and the SWAC to stay strong. Let's see who we got in the building. Motivation to be a millionaire. He said, salute Coach 67, chat, HBCU family, and Jaguar Nation. Salute to you, motivation to be a millionaire. Happy New Year to you. Hopefully all is well with you and your family. Motivation to be a millionaire said, Treylan James didn't move me. You said it, not me. He said, JSU fans are definitely hypocrites for co-signing that pickup. He said, Ted White from BR Glen Oaks. That isn't official yet. SU needs to get a bunch of LSU players out the portal. Yeah, I'm aware that he from BR. In fact, he's supposed, when I was the head football coach at Capital Middle, he was supposed to do a football camp. Him and one of the alumni groups, nearby in the nearby area. All right. Motivation to be a millionaire said also those players Lane Kiffin didn't want or couldn't keep. Southern is the only SWAC blue blood in my book. I love my Jags, but for me to say they're the only SWAC blue blood, that is, I disagree with that sentiment. And he put go Jags. Yes, sir. Go Jags. Relaxing, calming rain. He said, salute Coach 67, check HBCU family and Jaguar Nation. Salute to your relaxing, calming rain. He said, what did your people say about Old Hillside Bourbon Whiskey for the holiday? I'm not going to lie. They said that it's a pretty smooth drink. All right. One cousin, he really liked it. Another cousin, he thought it was good, but I guess he didn't like the price point. But overall, I'm not going to lie. The reviews for Old Hillside Bourbon Whiskey, they were pretty high. They basically said it was a pretty good drink. They thought it was smooth tasting, had a nice smooth taste to it. Another cousin, she really don't drink, but I don't know. I think somebody else, it was like, ooh, it's strong. But yeah, overall, it was some rave reviews. Shout out to my brother Big Joe Town. Shout out to Old Hillside Bourbon Company, Black-owned company. They support me. I support them. It's all love, you know what I'm saying? Relaxing, calming rain. Say, I want Southern to dominate the transfer portal. So do I. But most importantly, I want Southern to dominate on the field. You already know what I'm talking about. Go Jags. Yes, sir. Salute to Teldrin Lathers. He said, what up, coach? Salute to your fam. Happy New Year to you. Hopefully, all is well with you and your family. Man, shout out to Adrian Crook. He said, baby, all the Tigers of Laxon State don't visit today. We haven't seen or heard a standby. Yeah. Salute to your boy Jay. He said, salute, Coach. Go Jags. Yes, sir. Uh, salute to you, your boy Jay. Happy New Year. Hopefully all is well with you and your family. Rodney Norris said, why did the first OC now come to Southern? And who is the OC now? Never been anything but an analyst. Well, salute to you, Rodney Norris. Basically, the first offensive coordinator, the reason why he didn't come to Southern was because essentially he used Southern, because he kind of leveraged them and he got a better deal. So they announced him without him officially accepting the job. Now they ended up getting Ken Merchant from Sacramento State. They run the go-go offense. People have been asking, what is the go-go offense? Basically, the go-go offense is a spread offense. They run triple option. It's kind of like back in the gap when I played at Assumption, when teams would run out the I and run like midline option. Either give it to the fullback or pull it, pitch it to the tailback or keep it, and run triple option essentially. And of course, it's a pass component, but it's a run heavy offense, if that makes sense. Hold on 1 second, family. Yeah, this South Louisiana weather got my allergies acting a fool. It's cold one day, you're wearing a coat one day, you're wearing shorts the next day. So yeah, it's wearing my allergies out. Rod Norris said, what up, Coach? Happy New Year. Happy to able to join. Yes, sir. Salute to you, Rodney Norris. Happy New Year to your family. And he also said, is Trey Holly leaving? Well, Trey Holly is not leaving because, like Adrian Crook and Jay Good call him Laxon State. Laxon tried to post Trey Holly, and they tried to get him and throw some money his way, but I don't know if you watched the Carlos Brown show, but salute to Carlos Brown, salute to Perry White of the Jaguar Journal, salute to my brother C. Wells of SWAC Talk. Basically, on the Carlos Brown show, Tony Clayton said the money that JSU was trying to throw at Trey Holly, he matched it and he surpassed it. So Trey Holly is going to stay at Southern. 55 issues, salute to you. He said, is Ricky Collins really coming to Southern? If you saw the Southern University Quarterback Club, they did a live stream, I think, last Friday. They had like over 1,000 views. Evidently, Ricky Collins now is going to Grambling, from what I'm understanding. From what somebody told me behind the scenes, I don't know how accurate it is, so don't quote me on that. He going to Grambling because I guess he felt like his talents and his skill set did not fit the go-go offense. So evidently, Ricky Collins is going to Grambling, from what I'm understanding. Salute to your boy Jay. He said Ricky Collins going to Grambling. He doesn't fit the go-go offense. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I guess he's not looking to run a triple option type offense out of the spread. So yeah, that's the reason why he's going to Grambling. But it is what it is. Your boy Jay said Coach Faulk and staff offered a bunch of linemen. It's good to see they are taking the trenches seriously. Yeah, you and Jay Good, salute to Jay Good. Jay Good pointed this out, I think Friday. You know, yesterday he pointed this out. He was like, man, coach, they offering a bunch of offensive linemen. Salute to Franklin. He said, what up, bro? Man, salute to your family. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Facebook be driving. Not got me saying Facebook. Man, YouTube be driving me the way they switch it up with these the names and stuff. One time is one way, another time is another way. So it is what it is. Rodney Norris saw that he wasn't even on scholarship and did since Southern has a GM. How does the NIL work? I'm not gonna even lie to you. It's Rodney Norris is constantly evolving. It really, if you was to ask the NCAA how does the NIL work, I'm almost certain they couldn't give you a straight answer. The reason being because it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. If he and a couple people told me that evidently he wasn't on scholarship yet, but he definitely got NIL money that Tony Clayton matched. Exactly how it worked in terms of the name, image, and likeness. You know, we know they had a case back in the day. O'Bannon brothers from UCLA, you know, ended up suing NCAA or whatever, you know, behind their name, image, and likeness. But the exact thing, exactly how the NIL works, I can't give you a straight answer because at the end of the day, I'm almost certain the NCAA can't give you a straight answer. And that's kind of been part of the issue that Ken Clark and the 1400 Collective have been having with Scotty, because I guess Scotty been calling out their financial issues and their financial woes, whatever the case may be. And basically he was like, hey, I'm trying to help my institution, blah, 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 blah. You know, I didn't watch the whole live stream where he talked about it. I didn't watch the whole live. I didn't even watch the whole thing where Ken Clark responded to Scotty, but it is what it is. So that's why I can't tell you exactly how it works. Because, you know, the few people I talked to behind the scenes about it, the way they told me, like, it's ever evolving. You know what I'm saying? Your boy Jay said he wasn't on scholarship because of his court date. Yeah, I mean, he showed up, like, I think, right as training camp started, conditioning or whatever they was doing. So, yeah. So, he definitely has a court date in April, but he definitely has NIL money. Yeah, because Tony Clayton matched it. Franklin, he said, that's why Scotty did what he did, because he didn't want to trade. He didn't want to trade highly to come to Jackson State. Yes, indeed. Hold on 1 second, man. Man, God. Yeah, he didn't want Holly to go to Jackson State. Rodney Norris said, solid good for him. Yeah. Franklin was like, that's why Scotty did what he did not want Trey Holly to go to Jackson State. Yeah. Your boy Jay said missing out on Collins isn't a big deal. They have another guy in their sights. Was really good and played some good FBS ball. All right, that's cool. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really wasn't tripping hard on, you know, the Ricky Collins thing. And you know, we're just gonna talk about a smart transfer portal strategy by them, but we're gonna get into that. Your boy Jay say Jackson State soft for what they did to him. Basically, shut all script down. Yes, indeed. Rodney Norris said they have a QB, but if they are running a go-go offense, he isn't a real fit, and the Houston transfer cannot read defenses. Well, see, that's the thing about it with Ken Merchant coming from Sacramento State. Of course, Sacramento State runs the go-go offense. UNLV runs the go-go offense. If you check it out on YouTube, like I said, basically the quarterback is like in the eye. I'm sorry, he's not in the eye, he's in the shotgun. The quarterback is in the shotgun. And it's like when I was at Assumption, that old eye pro, the only difference is the quarterback is in a gun or even a pistol, and he has like two running backs next to him, two backs, like off to his right, off to his left behind him. With the first back, essentially is inside zone, and he has the option. He reads like a linebacker. He has the option to pull it or give it to the back, and then he runs triple option if he pulls it with the next back. So just using Southern personnel, it'll kind of be like if you had Cameron McCoy and he running that same look with Barry Remo is your first back through, and Trey I'll switch him. You run that same look with Trey Holly and Barry Remo. So essentially, that's what it would be like. And then, of course, there's a passing component to it also. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense in terms of trying to load up to stop the run. But definitely, you need to have a legitimate dual threat quarterback because you actually have to be able to pass the ball if you run a go-go offense. You have to be able to pass the ball. And like one of my coworkers said, Coach basically, he was like, Coach, you got the X's and O's. Now you need to go out and get the Jimmys and Joes. And basically, that's what it comes down to. You need to have that dual threat quarterback that can both run, pass, read everything, blah, blah, blah. So at the end of the day, you got to have the players to fit into your scheme, fit into your system. And Ricky Collins clearly felt like that wasn't a good fit for him. So you really can't be mad with him, you know what I'm saying? Franklin said, don't mess with the Jackson State University like that KC 1400, do everything above board. Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be truthful. I really haven't been keeping tabs enough on that entire situation really to fully speak on it and be confident about everything I'm saying. Like, so I'm not even going to touch that. We know at this point in this day and age, Jackson State is Southern's biggest rival probably in 2026. And in addition to that, based on the last couple of years, Jackson State is probably the most hated fan base in the SWAC. However, based on the conversation Jay Good and I had, you need all your SWAC Bluebloods to be SWAC Bluebloods, if that makes sense. But I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit after I finish going through all these comments. Your boy Jay said if Houston transfer can't read defenses, then Ricky Collins shouldn't see the field. Houston transfer played better competition and had better numbers. All right. Anthony Fobbs, he said, none of this work without the Jimmys and Joes. Big facts, big facts. Like I said, I done talked about it already on this channel. One of the coaches, football coaches, at the middle school where I'm an administrator, I no longer coach football, even though I'm probably going to do something on the line, not in terms of, 11 on 11, but probably, when I get the channel where I want probably some 7-on-7 stuff that I'm going to put on here. Rodney Norris said, guess he shouldn't see the field then. I know someone there who can read defenses. All right. Your boy Jay said, the Jimmys and Joes are coming. They already have a bunch of official visits set up. These kids are extremely excited about Marshall Faulk. Yeah, and Jay Good sent me some stuff behind the scenes. He mainly was talking about the offensive line play. My biggest question has kind of been, essentially, you had 17 seniors that graduated. You had 3 players that entered the transfer portal. One of those players already signed with Jackson State, but he didn't purge the roster like Coach Prime did when he went to Colorado. So the vast majority of the players, pretty much a whole roster, minus those 17 players that came back and I think you had 15 to 16 commits that came out of high school or JC. So, what scholarship numbers did they have, and how is he going to work around that? So that was my only concern. Anthony Fobb said, "Is Ricky Collins good?" Ricky Collins went to LSU. He didn't see the field. He transferred to Syracuse. You got mixed reviews when it comes to Ricky Collins. Some people rave about him. Other people are not as high on him. Me, I'm kind of in the middle. I think he would be a good SWAC quarterback, in my personal opinion. But, it remains to be seen. Rodney Norris said, "Is assumption the whole team will be new next season?" Well, I didn't follow assumption as closely because even though I went to assumption, I work in Ascension now and I live in Baker. So for the most part, I really couldn't tell you. I have to talk to one of my people that go to all Assumption games and be able to tell you that. But keep it a buck, Rodney Norris, I really don't know. Franklin State, Jackson State, and Southern will always be the biggest rivalry in HBCU sports. Well, I'm going to talk about that when I talk about the Blueblood thing. Most people say Jackson State. Me personally, I still say it's Grambling. But, of course, the people that tell me, man, coach, you tripping, I think they look at it from a standpoint of they feel Grambling is like the nice, friendly rivalry, whereas they feel like they really don't like Jackson State or they really won't beat Jackson State. I don't look at it from that perspective. I won't beat everybody. And as long as they're not playing our team or them winning or losing doesn't impact our team, I kind of want SWAC schools to beat everybody they play outside the SWAC. But I'm going to talk about that in depth later. Jackson State just signed our 4th-string cornerback. Congrats to them, LOL. Treylan James wasn't going to see the field if both starting corners didn't get hurt in training camp. Oh, I'm definitely going to talk about that. Rodney Norris said, LOL, I'm talking about Southern team, coach. Well, the thing about it, like the vast majority of Southern's team isn't right now. Minus those 3 individuals, Darren Morris, Treylan James, and the other DB, can't remember his name. Those 3 are the only 3 that hit the portal. So as of right now, it's like 95% of the team going to be back next year, minus the minus those 3 that hit the portal and those 17 seniors. But, talking to people behind the scenes, he offering a lot of people, and more than likely, it's not going to be a complete roster purge the way Deion did when he went to Colorado, even Jackson State. But from what I'm understanding, you should see some elite level players, Rodney Norris, next year. Now, in terms of the quarterback position, I know you was high on Jalen Woods. As of right now, from what I'm seeing, he coming back. I think, Cameron McCoy coming back. Dylan Compton coming back. And Asher Straughter, from what I'm understanding, I don't know, but his situation, I don't know if he's coming back or not. So, from my understanding, that's going to be what it's looking like, you know what I'm saying? Hold on one second. Dang, bro. Yeah, the allergy still a huge issue. Weather is extremely bipolar here in Stella, Louisiana. Your boy Jay said, I don't know. Southern is going to look completely different. He said, I doubt anybody who started last year will start again this season. Maybe 2nd or 3rd string at best. I think that's the thing about it. Your boy Jay, I think it's a lot of uncertainty. Like I said, Coach Faulk didn't completely purge the roster. And according to some stuff I saw, that's a good thing for the program because you don't want to completely like burn it down. But at the same token, some of the starters, not some of, most of the starters, especially at certain positions, really weren't good. And, to have so many starters that struggled. And from what we saw, many of the backups weren't even playable. So at the end of the day, like, you need to have some turnover in the roster, Salute to Joseph David. He said, "What's up, Coach 67? Is Trey Holly still in the fold?" Yeah, from what I'm understanding, based on the entire Tony Clayton situation, when he was on Carlos Brown's show. Basically, he said the money that Jackson State threw at Trey Holly, he matched it and surpassed it. So yeah, Trey Holly is going to be back at Southern. Now, his court date is in April. I'm almost certain. I don't know for certain, but I'm almost certain Tony Clayton probably going to offer him some assistance in that area too. So I think everything going to be on the up and up. D Black 03, salute to you. He said McCoy could be good if he stopped dropping the ball. He will literally fit the offense. I think that's the issue though, D Black. The fact that it seems like he struggled to make certain reads, and him and his backs weren't on the same field. I'm sorry, let me say the same field. They weren't reading the same thing. They weren't on the same page. In certain instances, it don't like they was even in the same book. That's why he fumbled the ball so much. You know what I'm saying? Rodney Norris said, "Understood. Thank you, Coach. You're welcome so much." Joseph Davis said, "You're all right, Coach." And I just got some allergy issues. For those individuals that know me, I have like extreme allergies. And anytime there's like a huge shift in the weather, I get the runny nose, this, that, and the third. My issue was I have been taking Zylol lately, but I ran out and I just took, and instead of me going to get some more, I just took the Zyrtec I've been taking for like the last 30 years. And that Zyrtec don't hit the same as the Zylol, to be honest. But I'm good though. Your boy Jay said Herman Brister hitting the portal sucks, but I understand. Maybe Faulk wants to revamp everything. I didn't hear but Herman Brister III hitting the portal, but if he did, I wish him well in his future endeavors. I hope everything works out for him. But maybe with Ty Light defense, they want to completely revamp everything. But I'm not gonna lie. Herman Brister III and Eric Reed Jr. would have been the only two players I would have kept from this pass defense, in my humble opinion. But maybe he wants to completely purge the defense. I don't know. Joseph Davis said McCoy should. Your boy Jay said Coach Faulk won't stand for inconsistent passer. McCoy stands no chance. That's why he's bringing in his own QBs. Yeah, I hope so. Man, salute to my brother Jared Lovin Green. He said, "Good afternoon, bro. Happy New Year to you, Jared. Salute to you." And of course, tomorrow we're gonna be on his channel, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Southern Baller Show. We're gonna talk about the college football playoffs, and we're gonna talk about the NFL playoff picture as it should be formed completely. Joseph Davis said, "Is McCoy pitching for the Jags? That could benefit SU the most." From what I'm understanding, he playing baseball, but is he playing pitcher, outfield? I really don't know. D Black say, "I think Brister is still here." Well, your boy Jay say something different. So, truthfully speaking, I really don't know. I really hadn't even heard anything about Brister, to be honest with you. But our first topic is, the situation with Treylan James. We all know that Treylan James hit the portal. And he got picked up by Jackson State. Jackson State lost all 11 starters on defense. And most of the season, or not the entire season, Jackson State fans have been saying that no Southern University player was good enough to start for Jackson State. Now, I'm not saying T.C. Taylor said this. I'm saying some of the Jackson State fans said this. And the irony is, Treylan James wasn't really even starting until the injury bug really bit Southern. Southern had a lot of injuries on both sides of the ball this season. If you let if you let Terrence Graves tell it, that's the reason why the team only won 2 games. But I'm not gonna even get into that. So to see all of the Jackson State fans co-signing Treylan James actually being picked up by Jackson State, that's irony to me. The fact that so many JSU fans, they cool with it. I'm like, bro, the fact that y'all kept saying all season last year, this past season, that no Southern player was good enough to start for Jackson State. The fact that all 11 starters are going on their defense, and the first player they pick up is Treylan James. Is like, to me, that's an indictment already. Your boy Jay said, I saw his name on the post on the NCAA transfer portal page last night. Okay. So the fact that he saw Herman Bristol III's name on the post on the NCAA transfer portal page late last night. Woo, all right. Your boy Jay said they went from bragging about FBS players to bragging about getting our backup cornerback. He said they're like Trump supporters. They truly stand for nothing. I hear you, boy, Jay. D Black said none of our players could start, but they were all in Trey Holly comments. Yeah, that's crazy to me. That is crazy. Franklin said, welcome to the family, Mr. James. Don't worry. Once the season starts, Franklin, you're not going to want to welcome him. I mean, truthfully speaking, I'd be lying to say if he didn't, play decent at the very end of the season, even in the Bayou Classic. But truthfully speaking, I'm not even gonna lie, is a diehard Southern fan that went to every home game, went to the Bayou Classic, snap for snap, playing and play out. He left a lot to be desired. So Franklin, yeah, you saying welcome to the family. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be thrilled with what you see when the season starts. Anthony Five said, guys can always go in the portal. I think it depends on Faulk policy. Some coaches allow you to test the waters. Some say once you win, you gone. Yeah, me personally, I think my policy as a coach would be, it depends on the player. If somebody like Kelby Givens, somebody like Trey Holly hit the portal and tested the waters, and they decided they wanted to come back, yeah, I would take those type of guys back. But just in general, like, some other cats, nah, not so much. Your boy Jay said Big Bad Tony Clayton shut that Trey Holly stuff down immediately. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I liked the way he was talking on the Carlos Brown show, you know what I'm saying? Salute to Tony Clayton. D Black said we got a few more people they can take if they want. Yeah, hey, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, a lot of players they could take. And that's the crazy thing about it. The fact that Jackson State lost like all 11 starters on defense, and they lost like 25 players in the portal. And I understand some of those players that were in the portal were not starters, were not contributors. But truthfully speaking, if I had to build around a couple players from Southern's team last year, if I had to build around one, especially in the secondary, it wouldn't be Treylan James. No disrespect to him, but I'm like, he didn't like the world on fire, from my personal opinion. Your boy Jay said they want some of our D line. I help them. Oh, big facts. Yeah, I'm not gonna even lie to you. Hey, y'all want some defensive linemen? Hey, minus Kelby Givens, you can have them all. Your boy Jay said, get these grades recruits while it's hot, Jackson State. Buy one, get one free. Yeah. Anthony Five said, Faulk going to get players. His staff is reputable. The last staff folks didn't want their players playing for those guys. That last staff didn't have the national reputation like this staff. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to the fact that you got a few NFL players, former NFL players like Donald Penn and Ty Light and Benny Logan. Man, hey, that speaks volumes. You know what I'm saying? Ken Merchant. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, like Coach Faulk, he did a good job putting together the staff. I'm truly impressed. The next topic is former Howard starting quarterback Ted Sweet Flight White. It's kind of been rumored that he's gonna be Howard's next head coach. People I talk to say it's not official yet, but just like Kevin Faulk, got me saying Kevin Faulk, God dog it. Just like Coach Marshall Faulk, just like Quinn Gray, the FAMU, just like Marshall Faulk, the Southern, from what I'm understanding, is unofficially official. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ted White, if and when he's officially named the next head football coach at Howard. And not only that, but how he does at Howard. I think picking up Ted White is the equivalent. Howard picking up Ted White is the equivalent to FAMU picking up Quinn Gray. I think it's a huge get for Howard. But like I said, it's not official yet. So, don't etch this in stone. Don't etch it in granite. But from all intents and purposes, from what I hear, a lot of sources have been talking about it like HBCU game day. So it's going to be interesting to see when they officially make Ted White the head coach for Howard. And the irony is, like I was saying, when I was the head football coach at Capital, and I was really in the process of really starting to turn things around. They had a football camp at my school, and only one player went to that camp, but it was like a local community group that put together the camp. Coach Roach, legendary coach, he kind of was like the catalyst to kind of put everything together. Ted White came for a little while. He was going to have another camp, and he was going to be like the face of that camp or whatever the case may be, but it never happened. Evidently, they had some like issues with my administration in that particular group, but it is what it is. But my interaction with him, the little time I interacted with him, he was cool people. So I wish him well at Howard. Your boy Jay said, would be a good hire for them to get somebody who knows the institution and knows the expectations. Yeah, and I think that's the same reason why it's a good hire for FAMU with Quinn Gray, especially based on what Quinn Gray did at Albany State and the fact that, he went to FAMU, getting those guys that play for those institutions and that went other places and kind of cut their teeth and they coming back home. I think that's a good look for both institutions. You know what I'm saying? The next thing, I'm going to save the transfer portal strategy for last. I was texting back and forth with my brother, Jay Good. Salute to Jay Good. And, we was talking about Treylan James being picked up by Jackson State. And I was telling him how a lot of, Southern University fans and just fans around the SWAC basically have been saying that Jackson State is a crumbling dynasty. And basically he was like, hey, that would be catastrophic. And I'm like, catastrophic? I'm like, like how? Like, if you're a Southern fan, the main thing you're concerned about is the fact that Southern gets back to where they used to be. They get back to the Celebration Bowl in the next couple seasons. They get there. They haven't been to one yet. I'm still thinking of the old Heritage Bowl back in the 90s. Essentially, it's the same game, but the Celebration Bowl has a lot more money attached to it. There's a lot more high profile than the Heritage Bowl. But I'm like, if Jackson State fell off, I'm like, the main thing a Southern fan should be worried about is Coach Faulk getting Southern to the Celebration Bowl and winning a couple Celebration Bowls, and Southern getting back to where they used to be. He was like, nah, Coach, that would be catastrophic. He said, the main thing you want, once Marshall Faulk turns Southern around and Southern get back to where they used to be, and you're the black national champions like back-to-back years, you want the other blue bloods in the SWAC to be blue bloods in the SWAC. And the irony is, they talked to Buddy this morning with Prairie White on the Jaguar Journal, salute to him. But basically, he was like, you want Grambling to be Grambling. You want Jackson State to be Jackson State. And you want FAMU to be FAMU. You want all of these teams to be strong. And you want to be at the top of the mountain. Basically, you want to be the elite of the fittest. You want all these teams to be fit. Now, I'm not saying anything anti-PV or anti-Alabama State or Alabama A&M, but basically he was saying that you want Grambling and Jackson State and FAMU. You want all the blue bloods to be blue bloods. You don't want them to be bottom feeder teams. You want them to be, fighting in the season for a spot in a SWAC championship game. So I'm like, yeah, as much as I hated to admit, I'm like, yeah, you're right here. Like, you really are. And then, I kind of further thought about it. And I'm like, the perfect scenario would be, going into the last couple weeks of the season. Essentially you have FAMU and Jackson State fighting for the crown in the East, and you have Southern and Grambling fighting for the crown in the West, and then you got other teams like nipping at Southern and Grambling, like Alcorn and PV. And essentially, if you Southern, you run the table in the SWAC, and you beat Grambling in the Bayou Classic, and you win the SWAC West Championship, and one of those two teams, whether it's FAMU or whether it's Jackson State, one of those two teams win the East, and then that team has to come to A.W. Mumford for the SWAC championship game. Southern hosted, and Southern wins. Was probably a close game for the first few quarters, and then they run away with it at the end, and it's a good game. And then Southern goes on to Atlanta, and they play against a team like South Carolina State, North Carolina Central, or even a team like Howard. You play against maybe one of those three teams, or even we say Delaware State, Norfolk State, whoever come out the MEAC, and you beat them in the SWAC. I mean, you beat them in the Celebration Bowl, and you win a Black National Championship. And you don't just do that once. You do that like back-to-back years, like in the next couple of years, the next few years. I'm not gonna say the next couple of years, because even though Coach Faulk has the program trending in the right direction, and it really seems like he's turning things around, like, you really don't know what to expect. You don't really know how things are going to unfold. So I'm just cautiously optimistic, but more than anything, I'm not going to say this season, but definitely in 2027 and 2028, what I just laid out would be like the ideal scenario in terms of the way things unfold, the way things unfold and the way things play out. So yeah, so that's definitely how I would want it, to play out. Your boy Jay say the SWAC is up for the past 5 years. That's definitely the case, your boy Jay. The SWAC has been major league trash, but I'm not gonna lie, your boy Jay. I think this past season, I think was rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? He said because Southern and Grambling have been bad. No disrespect to the other schools. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. When we say blue bloods, I think when you talk about the SWAC West teams, I think Southern is number one, Grambling is number 2. Even if you a Grambling fan, you say Southern 1A, Grambling 1B. Grambling fans might say it's the opposite. It's Grambling 1A, it's Southern 1B. Those 2 teams got to be the 2 top teams in the conference. But more than anything, the top 2 teams in the SWAC West. And then I think on the east side, I think is FAMU and Jackson State, or Jackson State and FAMU. Either way, I think at the end of the season, I think in the perfect scenario, those 4 teams are strong teams for my diehard members of Jaguar Nation, my Southern University fans like myself. I think that's how you want it to play out. And I think that's basically, how you want it to play out. And we're going to say like 27-28, you know what I'm saying? But you're right, those 2 teams are like the historically dominant teams in the conference. But more than anything, not only do you want those 4 teams to be strong, but, whoever else we talking about, you want there to be, to a certain degree, some parity in the conference. If you're a team, we're going to say if you're a team like any team. In fact, let's take FAMU, for example. Any school you play, you got to get up every game. You can't, like the last 2 years, FAMU lost to Mississippi Valley. You want it to be that way from the standpoint of, on any given Saturday, any team in the SWAC losing any team in the SWAC. But more importantly, when SWAC teams play out-of-conference games, especially when you play against FCS schools like Nicholls State and Northwestern State and Southeastern and McNeese, you want SWAC anytime they play against a FCS schools, you want them to beat the brakes off of them. And even when they play against other HBCUs in the MEAC, you want the SWAC to whoop up on the MEAC too. So when it comes to out-of-conference games, you want the SWAC to beat up on any out-of-conference teams, especially like Southern Conference teams or even other HBCUs in the MEAC. When they play against schools like Delaware State, Norfolk State, and South Carolina State, North Carolina Central, the way the SWAC MEAC Challenge went at the beginning of the season, Southern getting beat up 31-14. No, you want to turn the tables and you want it to be the opposite. You want Southern to beat up on teams like North Carolina Central and South Carolina State and Howard and Norfolk State, Delaware State. You want to beat the brakes off everybody. You want the SWAC to be a very good, very, very, very good FCS conference. I don't get me wrong. The whole conference from top to bottom can't be super strong. So you're going to have a couple bottom tier teams like a Valley, like a UAPB. But outside of those 2 teams at the bottom, you want the rest of the conference to be strong from top to bottom. You know what I'm saying? So getting back to the comment section, yeah, your boy Jay said basically Southern and Grambling have been bad, so that's why the last 5 years, the conference has kind of been trash. Your boy Jay said those Bayou Classic games that decided the West was the peak of the SWAC. 70,000 people in the Superdome on national TV. Nothing better than that. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, your boy Jay. That is the perfect scenario. The only thing that'll make that scenario you just laid out even sweeter is Southern the next week host this. If they host the SWAC championship game at A.W. Mumford Stadium, they win that game. Then they turn around and go to Atlanta, and they beat up on whatever team coming out the MEAC, and they win the Black National Championship. That's the only thing that would make that scenario even sweeter. D Black said, we just want every team to be competitive. And that's the main thing about it, D Black. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the conference has kind of been trash as of lately. This year, this season here, this past season has been the worst I've seen the SWAC from top to bottom. I'm like, oh my goodness, bro. Like, you cannot, the conference can't be this terrible. And for Grambling to play against 3 Division II schools and for you to cheat to beat Kentucky State in overtime, nonetheless, it's like, bro, that shows how far the conference has fallen. And for Grambling fans to be so confident coming into the Bayou Classic, I'm like, y'all do realize y'all cheated to beat Kentucky State, right? Y'all do realize Hayden Benoit like the 5th string quarterback. So I didn't understand all the arrogance from Grambling fans, to be truthful. It's like, come on, man, what are we doing? And the irony is, one of my partners, he was like, man, these Grambling fans, they acting like Jackson State fans. I said, man, you crazy, bro. And then, of course, when they got the Bayou Classic, just like I said, it was going to be a close game. And sure enough, it was. The only thing I was wrong about is I picked Grambling over Southern when it should have been Southern over Grambling. But hopefully Marshall Faulk can continue to win the Bayou Classic, but more than anything, he can make a complete 180 based on this past season. Instead of, I'm not going to put a game amount out there, but hey, hopefully they completely turn it around. Your boy JC seeing Southern lose to bad Southern Conference schools the last few years really burns me up. He said, I was almost out on grades when they lost to McNeese State year before last the way they did. No, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't McNeese. The thing that made me mad with the McNeese game was the fact that you led 85% of the game and you still found a way to lose it. But I was almost out. I was out. I'm not going to lie. When they got blown out last year at A.W. Mumford Stadium to Nicholls State University, I'm like, oh, my goodness. And for those that really follow the channel, y'all know that Senior wanted to go to Southern, but Graham told him, no, you better go to Nicholls, walk your behind to the head of the street and get on the bus and go to Thibodeau. Even though my mom graduated from Southern and he spent most of his time in Southern, he went to Nicholls for about a year and he didn't like it. But he couldn't stand Nicholls. Even when Southern, instead of outright winning the Black National Championship, they went the undefeated year in 93. The only game they lost was to Nicholls. They went down there to Thibodeau and lost to Nicholls. Eric Randall fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line because Pete Richardson called a quarterback sneak on a silent count. Losing those type of games, especially when Southern be good. You know, anytime you get Southern beating Northwestern State and losing to a 1-win Nicholls State in the same season, like those years used to burn me up. But last year, I really was out on grades when they lost to Nicholls State. I was shocked he turned it around last year, to be truthful. But the fact that the West was so bad was the only thing that really helped him out. So, at the end of the day, I want the SWAC, when they play out-of-conference games, to be a strong conference across the board, minus a few teams at the bottom. I want them to dominate Southern Conference teams. I want them to beat MEAC teams. I want them to beat everybody else out of conference when they play. The only games I don't expect them to win is the high-profile, big-money games. Like Southern playing against Houston next year. Yeah, I'm not expecting Southern to beat Houston. D Black said we got our behind beat on high school day. Yeah, oh, man, I'm not going to lie. That made me so mad, D Black. Yeah, bro, I'm not going to lie. He said them people beat us by 50 in Mumford. That was dark. He said that was dark, man. I'm not going to lie. I was so pissed. Chuck Fontenot, salute to him. He was like, man, coach, you want to talk about it tomorrow? I said, I'm not going to lie. I said, I'm going to talk about it. I said, I'm going to set him on fire tonight. I was so mad, I had to wait till the next day because I probably was going to say something that I shouldn't have said, you know. But them losing to Nicholls at AW last year, oh yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was so heated. In fact, the irony is I'll be willing to guarantee I beat Nicholls State. I beat him back, though. I beat him back on his end. And, you know, like I said, from where I'm from, Nickel State is closer to where I'm from and where I'm at now than Southern is. So, I went to Southern. I love Southern. And Senior couldn't stand when they lost to Nichols, and I can't stand it either. And your boy JC got tore up so bad the radio play-by-play stopped caring. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. By the time I got back to the car, I think the game wasn't over, but I don't even know why I turned it on after the game. I was that heated. And by that point, Jalen Woods got in the game, and a couple people was like, man, coach, Jalen Woods played good after you left. I'm like, man, I don't care. D Black said that game really should have been the turning point. I'm not gonna lie, it was the turning point for Graves last year for turning the season around. But if they just would have went in the tank the rest of the way, they'd have got rid of him a year earlier than they did. So it is what it is. He said, but it took a 2-10 season for that to happen. Yeah, it did. It did. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and that's the thing about it. For him to be acting like he not saying Southern, he not saying names, but for him to be acting like Southern did him dirty, like, bro, like, this was a historically bad team, and you constantly lying and making all these excuses. Nah, bro, that ain't gonna cut. He said, was Graves worse than Stump? Yes, Graves was. Graves was far worse than Stump. The reason being, your boy Jay, if Marshall Faulk would have took this entire team as is and went in the next season, you probably was gonna win the same amount, maybe even one less game than you won last season. But you saw when Dawson Owens took over for Stump Mitchell, how things turn around. So the thing about it is the fact that at the end of the day, we saw that Stump Mitchell couldn't coach, but Stump Mitchell could recruit. Terrence Graves couldn't do either. He couldn't recruit and he couldn't coach. And that's a bad combination. Even Eric Dooley, as much as I talk about Eric Dooley couldn't evaluate quarterback talent. He couldn't develop quarterback talent. But outside of quarterback position, he could recruit. He just was trash when it came to X and O standpoint. But Graves was trash when it came to recruiting, and he was trash when it came to X and O's. The same thing that got him fired is the same thing that got James Cozy fired. Just sitting on your ass, looking at all this huddle footage and all this footage online, and trying to get players from bigger schools just because they got a little bit of a name and they got decent footage, a decent film. Nah, bro, like some of these players that Southern was recruiting, even with that being said, some of these dudes didn't even have like good film. And even if you look at like Dooley got Dylan Marauder didn't even have no like good game film. And I'm like, man, what is this dude doing? Like, you getting this dude based off of off of practice footage, you know what I'm saying? And Graves was doing the same thing. It's like, man, some of these dudes that Graves got, man, these dudes didn't even have, like, they didn't play a lot of snaps and they didn't have good game footage. Basically, you're looking at these dudes off of practice film. So you sitting behind your computer, looking at huddle clips and huddle highlights and a highlight reel of this particular player, as opposed to back in the gap, getting off your behind and going from high school to high school, looking at different players, so on and so forth. Even if you would have, had a certain recruiting company or recruiting service do the recruiting for him, that would have been that. But, man, the way he recruited was completely lazy, you know what I'm saying? Joseph Davis, he said that Nickel State game was the one that made me give Graves the side. Oh, I'm not going to lie. Up on my channel, the post-game reaction the next day is still up. But the irony is when I came home, I didn't even do a live stream the exact same night like I normally do. I kind of had a cooling off period, and I did it the next day. Had I done it the same night, I definitely would have said something inappropriate. I probably would have said something extremely derogatory about him. So I'm glad I didn't do that. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Joseph Davis. It made me give him the side eye because I was so heated that night. You know what I'm saying? It was like the players weren't even prepared to play, to be truthful, you know. D Black say Stump could get talent. Graves couldn't do anything. No, I'm not gonna lie. He couldn't. He was trash when it came to X's and O's with his garbage friend Mark Frederick as his offensive coordinator. And not only that, not only was he garbage from an X's and O's standpoint, but he also was terrible when it came to recruiting. Your boy Jay say, I wish Graves will go online complaining again after all the hell he put the fan base through. Yeah, I mean, I done seen him post a few little things on X that Jay Good sent me. And the irony is, it's like, no, he didn't get on like Instagram and go on a rant. He didn't get on, YouTube or Facebook and go on a rant. It's like he have these little posts, and I'm like, bro, shut the hell up, bro. And like I said, I'm a devout Christian guy myself, but for you to throw the Lord in this, the Lord didn't make you a terrible coach. You just was trash on your own, you know what I'm saying? So don't drag the Lord into your foolishness and act like people dragging you down and tearing you down and defame your character. Like, dude, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Joseph Davis said also Stump was instrumental in getting the initial turf field. Yeah. From what I heard, that was the case too. D Black said Graves said we would do some things differently and change some things around. In the next game, it was the exact same thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he always used to lie about, hey, we're gonna make these adjustments. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and did nothing. And that's the thing about it. Even if the guys you got starting are terrible and the backups are terrible, let me see the backup so I can make my own decision. So you can show me, hey, yeah, the backup is worse than the starter, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Your boy Jay say what's crazy is half of Graves recruits had nothing but practice tape and real average high school film. He said, but I remain positive even though I was skeptical, not anymore. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that's the thing about it. Especially the way he was talking going in this past season. He was talking about people like Treylan James and Eli West, him and Henry Miller and Mark Frederick. Man, I'm like, all right, man, hey, I'll pick them to win the West. This is one instance I could say I was completely 100% wrong. I wasn't even close to being right. But the fact that they went to the SWAC championship game the year before was fool's gold. But I felt like it was just built on a bad foundation when it came to him. Joseph Davis said Graves brought in 267, 315-pound offensive tackles last season. Neither of them made it to opening day roster. Yeah, I talked to Xavier Warrell. I did a video on him, and basically he was saying that he had some kind of like issue or whatever, and Coach Graves and staff weren't sensitive to it. And I'm like, dang. Your boy Jay said a few guys he brought in before camp last year didn't even get into the school. He had no idea what he was doing. Big facts. And the fact that I'm not gonna lie, me and a few people talked about it. Jay Good and I talked about this. He was like, man, even looking at Straughter, like, yeah, Straughter looked good when nobody had footage on him. But he was like, man, once he started playing, it was obvious he couldn't read either. He was like, man, like, it might have been in his best interest to maybe go to honor level or two. Maybe play some D1 ball or even lower than that. You know what I'm saying? Keep it up, fam. He said, wait, isn't Graves a traditional HBCU coach with experience? Yeah, but keep it up, fam. He was a position coach for a reason. When guys don't ascend past being position coaches, it's telling. But the issue with him is I point this out in every live stream. Like Blackwater Bayou, one of the day one subscribers, he was pointing out how bad Graves was as a defensive coordinator. He was like, Coach, when Graves was the defensive coordinator, Southern is a team that was like Southern worst defense prior to this season. The irony was he looked like Nostradamus from the standpoint of it was prophetic. That Southern defense, when he was a defensive coordinator back then, was Southern's historically worst defense until this season. This past season, this defense that him and Henry Miller put together, it was Southern's worst defense historically. So, yeah, he's been in the SWAC for years, and I think that's the reason why, if you look at their current coaching staff, with the exception of Fred McNair and Anthony Balancier, like you have no guys with SWAC ties. And I think it's kind of a changing of the guard from the standpoint of, yeah, you got guys like Mark Frederick and guys like Terrence Graves, guys that were like lifetime SWAC coaches, lifetime position coaches and assistant coaches and this, that, and the third. And a lot of these guys, they kind of fed into that stigma of SWAC coaches being trash, SWAC coaches being terrible, SWAC coaches don't come into games with good strategies. They don't make in-game adjustments, so on and so forth. And I'm not going to lie, like, Graves kind of he fed into all of those negative stereotypes about SWAC coaches. And hopefully this season, Coach Faulk and the entire coaching staff could kind of reverse a lot of those SWAC stereotypes when it comes to bad coaches and unprepared coaches and so on and so forth. And, you know, turn Southern University around and make a complete 180. Man, salute to the family. Salute to the brother, Adrian Crook. He said, what's good? Salute to you, Adrian Crook. Happy New Year to you. Your boy, Jay said, Graves made the SWAC championship basically with dually players. When he had to get his own, you saw how bad he failed. Yeah, definitely. He said he hired Fredericks after FAMU beat the brakes off his offense in the SWAC championship game. We shouldn't have been side-eyeing him the second he got hired. Well, no, I'm not going to lie. I know a couple people that was critical of Mark Fredericks, like, immediately. It was like, man, like, why is this dude? I'm not going to lie. Somebody told me this. They were like, man, why we hire this dude, Mark Frederick? They were like, all he going to do is run inside zone 40 times a game. And I'm like, come on, I'm not going to lie. When it came to Mark Fredericks and Terrence Graves, I'm like, man, hey, bro, y'all, let's give him a chance. And I'm not going to lie, all those individuals that told me, like, Terrence Graves was one of the worst defensive coordinators that ever come through Southern. You know, people like Blackwater Bayou, he was right. And people behind the scenes that was telling me Mark Frederick was trash and he going to run inside zone 40, 45 times a game. And I'm like, man, come on, man, let's give the brothers a shot. Hey, like the dude in Rocket 3 when he was talking about James Clubber Lane. Get a brother a shot. I'm like, come on, man, let's get the brothers a shot. Guess what? Hey, they were 100% accurate. I got to say I was wrong on that one, too. You know what I'm saying? D Black said PV fans want us but him. Yeah. Keep it up, fans. Say still a traditional hire with experience. And this is why I don't buy into that nonsense. Marshall Faulk will win the SWAC at Southern with coaches who have little to no experience. Yeah, some of them coaches have little to no experience, but even Ty Light was, you know, DB's coach at Notre Dame, which is his alma mater. You know, Ken Merchant came from Sac State. You know, a lot of these guys, they got NFL playing experience like Ty Light, like Benny Logan, like Donald Penn. So playing in the NFL, it does make a difference, you know. Your boy JC PV fans was telling us, good luck. We should have known then. Yeah. Big facts. And, of course, for the last topic for the show, you know, the transfer portal. You know, I'm one of these individuals when I'm kind of uncertain about stuff, I kind of use AI. I use ChatGPT a lot or whatever. And I just kind of wanted to see what ChatGPT said about, Southern and how, Coach Faulk should address like the transfer portal. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everything I'm seeing from him now, he is doing his thing. Like he moving the program in the right direction, so on and so forth. So I don't have anything, negative to say thus far. So far so good. But in terms of Chat GPT, it was saying a smart transfer portal strategy for Marshall Faulk and Southern. He said one, first, they shouldn't blow it up. It's not a blow up the portal situation. Only a few players entering the portal is actually a good sign, not a bad one. He said that tells you players are buying into Faulk, the staff isn't forcing exits, and culture is being protected early. He said for a historically dominant HBCU coming off a historically bad season, mass purging would A, kill the locker room trust, B, hurt depth immediately, and make recruiting harder in year two. Southern should not chase a 30 to 40 player portal overhaul. Essentially, what it said, it should develop versus the portal. The right balance is the short answer. Develop the roster selectively. Portal at key positions. Why must Southern be the foundation? Why development must be the foundation? Southern has 15 to 16 commits already, only 17 seniors left, meaning the roster continuity matters. Portal only bills don't last at HBCUs without NIL advantages. But where portal talent is necessary, Southern cannot coach up everything. Portal priority positions. Offensive line should be the top priority. Defensive line and interior toughness. Linebacker, football IQ plus leadership. Defensive back with real FBS/FCS snaps. Skilled players only if they're a difference maker. Think 18 to 12 portal additions, not 25. How do you build depth if starters and backups were bad? This is the hardest part and the most important talking point. Some starters were bad, some backups were unplayable, but you still can't replace everyone. The solution is tiered roster rebuild. Tier 1 portal starters, plug and play immediately, offensive and defensive line holes, raise the floor of the team. Tier 2 players play role reset. Some bad starters become rotational players, situational specialists, and special teams leaders. Tier 3, development lottery. He said raise shirt plus strength program. JUCO style evaluation internally. Spring ball becomes an open competition. Faulk must make it clear. No one is guaranteed a starting job, but everyone has a place. That keeps players on the roster while improving depth. While improving depth. He said, ChatGPT also said what it takes for Southern to return to SWAC dominance is one, line of scrimmage first. Southern doesn't need flash yet. They need tough offensive line play, disciplined defensive linemen. Of course, we saw how they constantly jumped off sides last year, constantly being drawn off sides. Man, that used to make me sick. Fewer negative plays, no SWAC dominance without elite level players in the trenches and being able to dominate up front in the trenches. Number 2, consistency is greater than hype. Southern doesn't need a 9-1 season. They need to transition to a 7-5 season, then to an 8-4 season, then to a 9-2 season. More than anything, progression. That's how recruits believe. Porter players choose you. Fans reinvest. The SWAC must be strong. This is a great take. What they should do is lean into it. Southern's dominance means more when Grambling is competitive, Jackson State isn't down, FAMU isn't rebuilding. A strong SWAC raises national respect. It helps HBCU playoff talk. It makes classics matter, especially the Bayou Classic. This big picture football talk. It kind of shows that it just can't be a complete overhaul according to ChatGPT. So according to ChatGPT, basically, Coach Faulk and staff, even though they're coming off a historically bad season, they shouldn't completely blow everything up. They should constantly be looking for players, but more than anything, they should gradually overhaul the roster, not just take a stick of dynamite and stick it to the roster and just blow it up. But more than anything, value certain positions in the transfer portal. So we'll see how these things work out, but it is what it is. Your boy Jay said Coach Faulk and his staff are going to have to break some bad habits this team had. Tackling and discipline should be 1 and 2 on the list. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The first thing they need to address is, of course, essentially just like Jackson State defense, Southern defense is practically going to be an entirely new defense. So this was the worst Southern University defense I've seen in my life. They often took poor pursuit angles to the ball. And in addition to taking poor pursuit angles to the ball, they were terrible at tackling. And the sad thing is, when your starting quarterback nearly throws a pick six and he takes a better pursuit angle, even though he had like a 50-yard head start, even with that being said, the fact that he's able to take a better pursuit angle to the defensive back and push him out of bounds to prevent himself from throwing a pick six, that speaks volumes about how bad the pursuit angles were taken by the defensive players, especially the defensive backs. And not only that, the fact that they couldn't tackle. At least the quarterback was able to push the defensive back out of bounds. Some of the defensive backs couldn't even do that. So at the end of the day, the poor tackling was terrible. You know what I'm saying? Man, salute to my brother Desmond Allen. Good evening to you, bro. Happy New Year. He said, what up, my guy, Coach 67. Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. Hopefully, you're doing well. The only little minor issue I have this evening, Desmond Allen, is the fact that this weather is constantly changing here in South Louisiana. My nose has been running a lot. I should have took Zyzol instead of taking Zyrtec. But it is what it is. I'm going to give me some Zyrtec. No, let me phrase it. I'm going to give me some Zyzol later on tonight. But other than that, like that's the only real issue with me. But more than anything, according to ChatGPT, Coach Faulk and staff, I mean, just based on what I'm seeing, they're already doing a good job. They got a lot of boots on the ground all across the country in terms of, constantly scouting and evaluating good players. And not only that, one thing I'm seeing, like they're really going after players that actually have like real snaps and real footage, not players. I'm not trying to dump on him, but like Dylan Marotta, when Eric Dooley brought him in, he didn't even have any game snaps and game footage. The footage he had was basically footage from the spring game and practice footage. Like these players that they're pursuing, they actually have actual good game footage where they're doing big things. You know what I'm saying? So that's one good thing. And not only that, like ChatGPT said, you shouldn't purge the roster. They didn't purge the roster, but it seemed like they're going after players at key positions. So I like what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Your boy Jay said Southern women's basketball team won 64-45 over Texas Southern, and the men are up 42-29 at halftime. Man, hey, I like that. Of course, I'm gonna catch me a couple of those. No, I'm gonna try to see a few Southern University basketball games this season. But the irony is, your boy Jay, every time I talk about Southern University basketball, I'll post, outside of me posting a couple shorts to my channel, and don't nobody want to see me talk about Southern University basketball. And I don't know why, but it is what it is. I might have to do like Carlos Brown or Perry White and sneaking into my live stream when I talk about Southern University football, Adrian Crook said, Coach, ask ChatGPT, how do you escape the coach? Adrian Crook, man, you a fool. I be seeing Adrian Crook all over all these different SWAC and HBCU Facebook groups. I seen him going after Israel Curry. Hey, bro, Crook be all over everywhere when it comes to these, these HBCU, all these HBCU streets, these different social media platforms. Like I say, Facebook, all over all these different SWAC and HBCU football Facebook groups. I seen him on X harassing Israel Curry. I'm like, man, Adrian Crook be all over the place, you know what I'm saying? Desmond Allen said, Adrian, he can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but when I talked earlier in this live stream about, the SWAC needing the blue bloods to be blue bloods, and we was talking about, GSU and this, that, and the third. We kind of talked about that, when I said, when I was saying how a lot of Southern fans saying that Jackson State is a crumbling dynasty, and Jay Good would be like, that would be catastrophic. And I'm like, how? Like, Jackson State's fan base is probably the most hated fan base in all of SWAC football, maybe even HBCU football. It was like, no, Coach, you need Jackson State and FAMU and Grambling to be good when Southern, rises like a phoenix from the ashes and takes its rightful place at the top of HBCU football. Like, you need those other three programs to be good too. So we kind of addressed that earlier in the live stream, you know what I'm saying? Adrian Crook said, Allen just trying to help the Tigers out. He didn't even say Tigers, Tigers, I guess. Your boy Jay said, all the guys who are committed are starters and leaders on their JUCO and high school teams. That's exactly what we need to change the culture. Yeah, big facts, your boy Jay. Big facts. But I think when ChatGPT is talking about culture, I think they're talking about HBCU culture. Basically, you don't want to overload your roster with, Power 4 and Power 5 FBS players. They were saying that. I guess that'll be like culture shock, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Desmond Allen said, Adrian, I'm from Jackson. He said, I would never help them, and I have siblings who went there. Okay. Jeffrey Carroll, salute to you. He said, don't need your help. Well, I think the issue with that, Jeffrey Carroll, is Southern fans have basically been talking about how Jackson State has, like 25 players in the portal. You lost all 11 starters on defense. And the fact that, like, one of your first pickups is a Southern University backup defensive back. I think that's what they're talking about. Andrew Cook said, LOL, Allen. He said, Jackson needs some love and water. Yeah, hey. And I saw Adrian Cook with that water crisis in Jackson thing. I'm like, dang, boy, Cook. Jeffrey Carroll said, go Tigers. Desmond Allen said, Adrian, boy, stop. Yeah, hey, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it a buck. But hey, Adrian Cook don't have no sympathy on Jackson State. Adrian Cook don't have no sympathy on Jackson as a city. I say, boy, hey, Adrian Cook is all gas, no brakes, you dig? Desmond Allen said, Jackson State wants to overcome Southern so bad, they'll do anything. Adrian Cook said he didn't sign. He was just posting his offers. Man, I'm not going to lie to me, Cook. I don't know what it is about clout chasing. I mean, the way he was posting it, the impression I got, I thought he had signed, but if he hadn't signed, man, hey, that's some clout chasing type stuff to me, bro. Like, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie, Adrian Cook, the way he was posting it, I legitimately thought he had signed with Jackson State. So if he didn't sign with Jackson State, man, that is clout chasing to the 10th power. That's crazy to me. D Black said, Crook, stay on them people next, win or lose. Big facts. Jeffrey Carroll said, but when TC lose 40 players and TC still wins 10 games, how would you hate us? Look, I'm not hating Jeffrey Carroll. I'm just saying what everybody else is thinking. Because, if you caught the earlier part of my live stream when I talked about conversation that Jay Good and I was having behind the scenes when he said, when Southern returns to his rightful place at the top of HBCU football, you need Grambling, Jackson State, and FAMU to all be good. You need all three of those other SWAC teams to be good SWAC teams. So at the end of the day, to keep it a buck, Jeffrey Carroll, I'm not hating. I want them to be good. So when we come to the vet next year or whenever and start winning again, I don't want Jackson State fans to say, yeah, Jackson State fell off, or hey, y'all should have called us a few years ago. No, I want Jackson State to be good. I want Graham to be good. I want FAMU to be good. Adrian Cook said he posted an offer from Western Kentucky right afterwards. No, I ain't gonna lie. I just saw the Jackson State post, and not only that, Adrian Cook, but a bunch of people sent me that post, and basically they were like, "Man, coach, I think he signed." Woo. So somebody sent it to me on X. A few people sent it to me on X, and a few people just sent me the post, and they just essentially was saying, "Hey, I think he signed with Jackson State." But yeah, they didn't send me the Western Kentucky post, Adrian Crook. So, all right. So I gotta backtrack. The way they were sending it to me that he had signed with Jackson State. So he didn't sign with Jackson State. All right, bet. Jeffrey Carroll said JSU would be good. That's a fact. Well, I mean, that's what I want, Jeffrey Carroll. I want him to be good. I don't want him to fall off. And I'm not gonna lie, when Jay Good and I was talking about this, we was talking about how, like, in these HBCU streets, Jackson State fans are not like, I guess, the perception is Jackson State fans act like Jackson State wasn't struggling prior. In fact, man, I don't know why people calling me. They know I'm on my live stream. Hey, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Put a 2 in the chat if you can't hear me. Because I might have to switch devices. In fact, I might switch anyway. All right, so you can hear me. All right, good. So anyway, so basically, we was having a conversation on how basically a lot of other fan bases in the SWAC and just HBCU football view Jackson State fans as arrogant because they didn't act like, before Deion Sanders came, JSU was struggling. So, he was saying basically if Jackson State fell off, that would be catastrophic. And I'm like, catastrophic? Like, you do realize Jackson State fans are like the most hated in HBCU football and in the SWAC. And he was like, no, coach, you need Jackson State to be good. You need FAMU to be good. You need Grambling to be good. You need those other 3 blue bloods to be blue bloods. So when you get back to where you're trying to get to, you can't say, hey, it was a fluke. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see how this season plays out. And the one great thing about Marshall Faulk taking over at Southern is it has renewed confidence in the football program. It has generated a lot of buzz and excitement when it comes to the fan base. Even the people that were skeptical initially, once they saw the coaching staff he put together, once they saw a lot of recruits that Coach Faulk brought in, it's crazy how, things have kind of turned around. So at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Somebody trying to call me again. Hold on. Dang. Man, these spam calls are getting on my nerves. Dang, bro. Jeffrey Carroll said, name a team that hasn't struggled. No, Jeffrey Carroll, how I'm going to say this? How I'm going to articulate this point? It's cyclical, Jeffrey Carroll. I done said this numerous times on my platform and on my channel. Southern is struggling now, this past season. Grambling has had ups and downs. FAMU, Jackson State, Alcorn State, Alabama State, Alabama A&M. I think the issue that many HBCU fans are having is it's not the fact that Jackson State hasn't struggled. I think the perception is that Jackson State is a fan base, is arrogant, and they act as if they've never struggled. I think that's the point they were making. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, to keep it a buck, I don't have any animosity towards Jackson State fan base or Jackson State fans. My perception of it is when SWAC teams play outside of the SWAC, I want SWAC teams to beat everybody else they play. Point blank, bottom line, period. If they're playing against the MEAC, if they're playing against the Southern Conference, if they're playing against other FCS schools, whoever they're playing against, even if they're playing against Power 4, Power 5 schools, I want SWAC schools to beat everybody else. Now, when they play against Southern, I want Southern to beat everybody up they play. And we're going to love on y'all after, as far as I'm concerned. But a lot of other SWAC fans perceive Jackson State fans to be arrogant, you know. And they kind of view Jackson State fans the same way they view Dallas Cowboys fans. The only difference is, not this past season, but the previous season, y'all won the SWAC championship and y'all won the Celebration Bowl. So to me, that kind of omits the Dallas Cowgirl narrative. But even with that being said, they perceive y'all to be arrogant, Jeffrey Carroll. I mean, you want me to lie to you? You want me to tell you the truth? You know, like I used to tell this woman I was in a relationship. You want me to lie to you? I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's the truth. That's the perception of Jackson State's fan base. Desmond Allen said, why people see Jackson State fans as arrogant? They are delusional. Thank Desmond Allen. Your boy Jay said, I hope they fall off. They laughed at us about Graves and Dooley and tried to downplay Coach Faulk, knowing they're terrified of us being good again. No, I don't want them to fall off, your boy Jay. Like Jay Good said, I didn't think about it until Jay Good brought this to my attention. No, I don't want them to fall off. I want them to be good. Now, I want Southern to beat the brakes off them in Grambling, in FAMU. But at the same token, I want them to be good. I don't want them to completely fall off. You know what I'm saying? Adrian Crook said, these stinks. Dylan Allen said, shaking my head, Jackson State football program still behind Southern Grambling and FAMU. Adrian Crook said, finally won something. Desmond Allen said, plus Jackson State been playing football long before Southern and Grambling, and both programs have a better program historically. All right. Adrian Crook said, D3 and 8 Tigers. Hey, Adrian Crook called it already. Dang. Man, hey, Adrian Crook on y'all helmet. Adrian Crook is all gas and no brakes. Dang, I done been on here an hour and a half, man. That time it just flew by. So tomorrow I'm gonna be on my brother Jared 11 Green channel for another installment of the Southern Baller Show. But I'm getting ready to shut down this particular live stream. I appreciate everybody that came through, showed love, relaxing, calming rain, motivation to be a millionaire. Tedron Leathers, Desmond Allen, your boy Jay, Adrian Crook. Man, everybody's been rocking with the channel. All my day one subscribers, all the new subscribers. everybody that's been rocking with us. I appreciate it. Y'all are greatly valued. Y'all greatly appreciate it. Happy New Year to all of y'all. Getting ready to go take care of some other business. But I appreciate y'all for coming through. Like I said again, come through tomorrow. My brother channel, Jared Loving Green, the Southern Baller Show. On Monday, I'm going to have another edition of the tailgate party. In fact, I'm getting ready to shut down the tailgate party too, since the football season is over. I'm getting ready to shut that down and transition to something different. But I appreciate y'all for coming through, showing some love. Your boy Jay said, if Coach Faulk goes to Jackson and beat them year one, they might cause a riot outside the vet. He said them people are truly insane and delusional. Adrian Crook say, the fish plate boys. man, y'all wilding up in here. But I'm going to catch y'all on the rebound. My brother Jared Loving Green channel tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The tailgate party on Monday night. Peace and blessings to the family. And go Jags, you dig?